Hi, welcome to Parent Alienation is Child Abuse Unfiltered. Thank you all for being here today and welcome to all the new subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you and welcome each and every one of you. I've just hit over 100, just over 100 subscribers. I'm just so happy about that because it shows you what one voice can do. How one voice can reach 100 people who are willing to subscribe to me to listen to more. And those 100 people will go forth and share their stories or spread my stories around. And that's how awareness is made. That's how change comes. When people speak about things, even though they're painful or brings up some terrible memories, it's important to have these discussions. Because there's a lot of people out there that I'm sure are not aware or just fully don't comprehend the damage that is done by withholding a child from another loving parent, or saying hateful and horrible things about that other parent rather than co-parenting together and raising a happy, productive, well-adjusted child. Some of these people end up in family court to want to be able to see their child. This is where it gets interesting. My suggestion is you really don't want to do a family court. Well, the court itself's not the issue. It's the people that get you into the door and into the in front of the judge. It's called the lawyers. Now, these lawyers will fill you full of crap. They'll tell you you've got a voice, then you can go in there and say whatever's going on and speak your mind as a way to get visitation to your child. And they'll drag this out for years. I know one gentleman that was alienated from his children for 4 years, going through a family court. They bounced him around, made him jump through all these hoops. He didn't get to say his side of the story. They only run with the one-sided story. That's the one thing with family courts. The lawyers will tell you can get to have a voice and get to say what you want to say about the opposite parent, particularly if that parent is a narcissistic parent, using spiteful tactics as withholding a child and turning the child against them with parent alienation, brainwashing a child and making false allegations. They don't get to have a voice. They get dragged in there 4 years. 4 years that he waited for a decision through bouncing through the courts. In this whole time, he wasn't allowed to see his children. This woman made some false allegations and they ran with that. He didn't get to have a voice on trying to clear his name. He denied everything, didn't get a voice. They didn't want to listen to him, made the decision, became judge, jury and executioner. To this day, he has not seen his children. We're talking nearly 6 years on somebody saying something, making false allegations. You know, someone else out there in the famous world that was making false allegations against a star. Oh, Amanda Heard. She did it to Johnny Depp. So it happens. There are women out there that manipulate the system by spreading bullshit and making up lies. These women will eventually come back and bite them. Now, there's just as many men that do the same thing. They don't use the old domestic violence situation because the women seem to use that one quite a lot. Now, I'm not saying there isn't domestic violence out there, like I have grown up with that, so I'm well aware that there is. But I'm well aware that this particular person that I'm talking about didn't have domestic violence in the house with the partner she was talking about. A lot of the injuries she had done to herself and used them as a way to manipulate the system. And again, this gentleman was withheld from his children. Again, didn't get to have a voice, tried to fight the system, because that's what it is, it's a system. Got bounced around, went and asked about charges and things like that. There was nothing. There was nothing. When that didn't work, they went to the children. Oh no, he's hurt his child. They changed the story like that many times. And the judge could see through that, but there was no proof on either way, but the judge made the decision that because everybody believed the one-sided story, and it was a one-sided story, that he wasn't to see his children. Now, the narcissistic father was much the same. He went and screamed abuse about the woman beating him up. This is the one that was trying to run her over when she was pregnant. Oh, the lovely gentleman he was. Yeah, they turned the tables on that one because he had his family involved in that and turned around and said that this young girl who was very petite and small was beating him up. But she was the abuser in the family. And when that doesn't work, they start going, oh, the rest of the family is stalking me. Or the rest of the family is threatening me. None of this is true. But none of this gets a chance to be proven as lies because no one looks into it. No one looks into it. No matter how much the person's screaming the innocence that this didn't happen and that didn't happen, they don't look into it. They take one word on a sided story. And the lawyers are useless. They're fucking useless. You don't even get to speak to them till nearly the day of court. You get like 10-minute window to have a quick conversation over the last year or two. You go in there and they don't even know half the situation. And when you start explaining the whole situation, they start scratching their heads going, oh, okay, well, this does feel like this. But then they've left it too long to do anything about it or change any paperwork. The thing is, if they'd listened in the first place and done their jobs, then the truth would have come out in court. Now, you can't always blame the lawyers because, like I said, this parent alienation is an epidemic. There's so many people out there in the same position. So many people. That's why I started this channel, because it needs to stop. There's too much hurt, and the main victims are the children. The children that these so-called parents say they love and care about, that are abusing by manipulating them and turning them against another parent instead of just co-parenting together. You get dragged through court, you get dealings with people like lawyers that say they care that don't. You have ICLs, which are an independent children's lawyer, in case no one knows. They're supposed to be the ones that speak on behalf of the child. These people don't do their job either. I had a dealing with one of these people it was a family report message or family report that needed to be done. They had one done and then they were supposed to have another one done before they went to court. Well, this ICL left it 18 months before she issued another one because it was taken out of the parents' hands. The parents were allowed to do random drug testing on each other, which had shown that one of the parents were continuously failing the test because they wouldn't give up their drugs or their alcohol. Once the ICL stepped in, this was taken out of the parents' hands. She never issued another drug test done for another 18 months. She never did another family report until about, I think it was 6 weeks prior to court. So there was 18 months or 16 months where there was no follow-up appointment or follow-up of any situation that this other little child was going through and how the visits were going and the connection back to their loving parent was going. None of that happened. But they went to court with all this information based on an 18-month-old report. And the judge made a decision based on an 18-month-old report and again failed the child. Now, the system's overwhelmed, but these kids, each one of these children are affected by each decisions made on their futures. And if it's based on a one-sided story, then something's terribly wrong. Something's terribly wrong. How can a system decide the future of another human being based on a one-sided story? I'll give you another little clue on how great this system is. There was this report done where there was going to be a visitation of a child at a visitation centre. Now this shows you the standard of this particular narcissistic father. When he went to drop this child off for a visitation at this visitation centre, just prior to leaving, in front of everybody, he turned around and told the child that while he was gone, that the mother was going to have him killed. He said this in front of everybody. Of course, the child didn't want to have a visit. The child stood at the door screaming to leave, didn't want to be there. So the visit was cancelled. The father returned to pick the child up, took the child home, rang the mother later on, abusing her, that the child wet herself in the car on the way home because she was so scared to see the mother. We're talking about an 8-9-year-old child. I don't think she wet her pants because she was scared of her mother. I think she wet her pants because she was petrified of her father and then had to go home with him. Because just the simple fact that she wanted to see her mother, there was that slim chance of her being able to reconnect with her mother, that he would crush that. And she was petrified that what he was speaking was true, because as far as she knew, that daddy's always right. And daddy's boss, hey. Yeah, daddy's boss, hey. That was something she repeated quite often. That's the brainwashing they do. And what did this judge decide in this particular case? Well, they decided, even with the abuse, that the child was probably better off with the father, seeing she had been with him so long, because he had her for like 8 years. And so rather than let her go to a well-adjusted house and a loving, caring, nurturing mother, they let them stay with the abusive father because they thought the trauma would be too much for her the change to be. She was so dependent on her father that they believed that taking her away from him would be more destructive than allowing her to stay with him. Go figure that one out. Go figure that one out. The system that is meant to protect these children fail these children on a daily basis. The courts don't recognise parent alienation in the family court. That's a civil matter, apparently. You have to take that to civil matter. Now, it's not a civil matter. Parent alienation is child abuse. It's abusing the child. It's turning a loving child against another loving parent through pure spite. That is abuse. That should be in the same court as family law. It is part of family law. It's affecting the family. They deal with abuse and domestic violence in family law. Why do they not deal with parent alienation in family law? Take it to civil court. Let's jump through some more hoops and waste some more time. They take so much money from people. This is such a big business. Man, the amount of business in parent alienation and the court system and the family law. Man, what a big business company that is. All the lawyers, like tens of thousands, like thousands and thousands of dollars. I've known fathers, mothers, people, other parents that have spent thousands of money in court for years and years and years. And if you don't have that money, or you're not lucky enough to get in first and get friggin' legal aid, you don't want legal aid, because legal aid you'll add twice as much time onto your length to wait for your child. See, the whole system's screwed up. It blows my mind. It blows my mind that these people are supposed to be looking out for the children, wanting to reconnect children with their loving parents, yet they take friggin' years to get a decision up, to make a decision. And 99.9% of the time, it's on a one-sided story. In my experiences with the courts, stories that I've heard from other people that have had experiences with the courts, it's a one-sided story. They don't investigate properly. The lawyers don't do their jobs properly. The ICLs are so overwhelmed, and that's an excuse because they still are responsible for a child's future. All these people are responsible for a child's future. It's another living human being that's been traumatised by a narcissistic mother or a narcissistic father that's been trapped with those people. And these courts are their only way to get out, to have another loving parent in there. So at least they can have a loving parent and a narcissistic parent. At least it balances it out so the parent can look out for each other. These kids need someone. These kids are trapped with no voice. No one's there looking out for them. The narcissistic father that was beating the dogs with the chain, he got to keep his kid because he promised he wouldn't hit the child. He promised I won't smack her. Promise. What a joke. Like what a joke. Really, what a joke that is. And then the judge went, okay, mate. But we won't even check to see if you're doing that or not. We'll just believe you. You take your little child home. Good luck, little girl or little boy. I hope you get to have some sort of a future with the person you're dragged home with. It's crazy. It's crazy. And again, these kids suffer. These kids suffer. Anyway, I'm just doing a short one today. I'll probably see if I can do another one maybe tomorrow. Now I know people are really interested and want to listen, then I'll try to get some more happening. I don't get a lot of time. As you can probably hear, I have a dog in the background that likes my attention. I also run a household. But this is an important thing to do. It's important to me. It's important to the children. That's the main one. So it's important to these children. And again, if you're out there and you're with a narcissistic person, you need to think twice about what you're doing and what you're exposing your child to. And if you're a narcissistic parent that's alienating your child, you need to have a good look in the mirror. Because what you're doing is irreversible damage and long life damage to a child that will one day come back and want answers from you, and more than likely turn their back on you for what you've done. If they're young, you've still got a chance to make things right. Even if they're older, you've got a chance to make things right. Be honest and forthcoming with them. Don't let spite rule their life like it's ruled yours. Everybody's got a right to be happy. Children more so. They're innocent victims in this whole world of this parent alienation. Children should be happy. They should be worrying about being kids, about playing games, eating food, watching TV, getting cuddles and smoochies. That's what kids want, cuddles and smoochies. Not parents bickering and arguing and making them feeling uncomfortable to even speak to another parent or go over to a visit for another parent. These kids don't need this. And if you're a person that does this, you need to stop. Enough's enough. Time to draw the line, time to break the chain. Don't do this anymore to your kid. Your kid doesn't deserve this. It didn't ask to be born into this world. You brought it in here. You're responsible for that child. You're responsible for the life that child lives, not leaves. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. This is a subject that we can go on about, and I'll bring it up again. Again, I thank you and appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for the 100 subscribers. That's just wonderful. It just shows you, again, how much one voice can do. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.